Hello, welcome to the Hospital Homebound Home Base Service Provider Training. I'm Monica Smith, the Coordinator of Student Services.
Along with Dana Rollins, Coordinator of Health-Related Services.
Today, we're going to talk about the Hospital Homebound and Home Base goals. Hospital Homebound provides a mechanism for students to attend school, removes barriers to student achievement, and increases consistency and accountability. Who's involved in Hospital Homebound? The student, the parent, the classroom teacher, the Hospital Homebound teacher or service provider, counselor, Hospital Homebound liaison, which is usually the counselor at the school, principal, school nurse, physician, social worker, Hospital Homebound review committee, and assistant superintendent of student services. The home base, the same group of people are involved, but it also includes the program specialist for that student's school. Hospital Homebound eligibility. In order to qualify to be in Hospital Homebound, you must be enrolled in a Houston County school, anticipate to a minimum of 10 days absent, complete the application. Forms must be completed by a licensed physician or licensed mental health professional who is treating the student for the presenting diagnosis. Childbirth is not covered and not care of an infant. Home base eligibility, the student must be enrolled in Houston County schools, current special ed eligibility, and an IEP placement decision. Ineligible conditions for Hospital Homebound is expulsion, suspension, and illness of a family member. Who can provide Hospital Homebound home-based services and what is required? Certified teacher currently employed in the county school system, not working on a timesheet, complete Hospital Homebound home-based training, complete application, and complete contract. Hospital Homebound home-based teacher contract completed once per school year. The flat rate has increased to $30 an hour, and mileage follows the system pay rate. Basic sample of delivery model. Service hours covered, absence. 3 hours of services equals 5 days of absence. 2 hours of services equals 3 days of absence. 1 hour of service equals 1.5 days of absence. Home base, the IEP team determines service hours, no less than 3 hours a week. High school finals, statewide and district assessments exemptions are not allowed for Hospital Homebound students. Services can be delivered Sunday and Saturday. Classes covered. Hospital Homebound is not structured to supplement the regular school day and may therefore limit the number and type of classes offered. You can refer to page 5 of the Georgia Department of Education State Hospital Homebound Manual. Hospital Homebound students receive an access to FAPE. All courses are provided as determined by IEP team.
Forms to complete your service and document on are found in PowerSchool. And these documents are for the Hospital Homebound Approval Denial form that is completed by the committee, the service provider assignment, service provider journal, and the home base provider journal. Forms for you again found on PowerSchool are the payroll record, travel expense form, travel procedures, service calendar, payroll deadline schedule, the Hospital Homebound manual, service provider PowerPoint, attendance sheet, assignment sheet, the role of the parent and the student. Be sure you are printing the correct forms because Hospital Homebound and home-based forms can differ. Payroll. No email forms or copies accepted for payroll. They must all be the original. Travis and service calendars are the same. Please submit your payroll record. You must print from PowerSchool, have the original signature of the provider and parent. Should be filled out by hand and do not use whiteout. Complete all student information at the top of the form. Please send the attendance and assignment sheet to Nicole, the secretary for the Hospital Homebound Committee. PowerSchool Service Provider Journal must be up to date. Travel. For the mileage rule, reimbursement for business use of personally owned vehicle is calculated per mile. From point of departure, after deduction for normal commuting mileage, based on the current reimbursement rate. The standard per mile reimbursement rate includes gas, oil, repairs, and maintenance, tires, insurance, registration fees, licenses, and depreciation attributable to the business miles driven. If you request reimbursement for mileage, you will not be reimbursed separately for those costs. In addition, normal commuting miles must be deducted. When calculating total mile reimbursement, mileage traveled by state travelers between their residence and primary workstation is considered commuting miles. Commuting costs are not reimbursable. There are exceptions. If travel occurs on a weekend or holiday outside of the normal work schedule, mileage is calculated from the point of departure with no reduction for normal commuting miles. This can be confusing. Please contact Nicole if you have any questions of what can be calculated for your mileage. So for example, on 4/8/2019, the Hospital Homebound teacher traveled from their school to the student's residence, then from the student's residence home. The teacher's normal commute is 15 miles to and from work. This would be deducted under the deducted commuted column, trip from the student's home to the teacher's home. If the service travel does not add additional mileage above and beyond the teacher's normal commute, no mileage would be claimed. For example, the student lives on your route home. Again, if you have any questions, please contact Nicole. For the travel log, download it from PowerSchool and complete it on the computer. Payroll will not be accepted by hand, and you cannot handwrite it on the form. Complete the top portion of the form with your information. Be sure to put the student's name in the top left corner. Use your address and not the student's address. Remember, this log is not the time you serve the student. It is only for travel to and from services. Print and sign all pages in ink. This must be submitted within 45 days of first entry, or you will be denied by payroll for reimbursement. Service calendar. Complete schedule at first contact with the parent. Provide a copy to the parent of what you have agreed on. Any changes to the schedule and the reason for the change is reflected on the calendar. This serves as documentation if there are non-compliance issues and also verification for payroll record. Turn this in with your payroll record. The service calendar should match your payroll request. Service provider journal. Access the journal on PowerSchool. Enter the date initial contact was made. Document each visit with the student. Include the start and end time of each visit. Notes regarding the progress, compliance, and concerns should be documented here. When services are complete, enter your final service date as the completion date. Total hours served will calculate on the bottom of the journal page, and then you will change the status to final. This will help us monitor the student's progress, attendance, and participation. Service hours must match your payroll hours submitted. Remember, your journal, your payroll record, your attendance log, the travel log, and service calendar must all match. So what do I do now? I've been assigned somebody. So I'm going to contact the parent within 24 to 48 hours of receiving the assignment. Find out what work the student has already received and the books they need. Schedule your first instruction, whether it's online or in person. At first contact, review with parent and student their responsibilities. They've done this once prior to submitting the application, but it's a great idea to go ahead and go over it again. If 3 attempts are made unsuccessfully to contact the parent and set up a assignment, notify Nicole Jordan, Hospital Homebound service provider, and contact the program specialist if it's for home-based. Contact student's teacher for assignments. If all work is completed, request review materials for the same time of absences. Services must be provided even if the student is all caught up. Pick up assignments and books from the school, get them to the student, and begin your services.
Classroom teacher fails to give assignments to hospital homebound, home-based teacher. Hospital homebound teacher contact the school's liaison and ask for his or her assistance. Home base contacts the program specialist. If that doesn't work, contact Nicole and we will investigate. Do not stop trying to get the work or stop service. Issues and concerns. Student does not complete assignments in a timely fashion. Student's homeschool teacher will give work deadlines. If the student isn't finished at the deadline, you will still collect assignment and return it to the teacher. It is not your responsibility to determine completion. Students seen working or at extracurricular activity does not apply to home-based students. Don't go looking for them, but contact liaison or Nicole if this is an ongoing issue. Hospital homebound committee will address issue with parents. Assigned hospital homebound home-based teacher does not perform duties. As a service provider, you are responsible for meeting weekly with student, ensuring student work gets to and from home teacher, and completing journal. If you are not fulfilling your duties, you can be dismissed as the provider. The provider's journal needs to reflect the hours you are requesting to be paid for. The documentation of hours served should match the timesheet. Parents not compliant with parental, hospital homebound, and home-based responsibility. Canceling consistently, no shows. Hospital homebound, contact Nicole Jordan after 2 consecutive incidents. Home base, contact program specialist after 2 consecutive incidents. How will hospital homebound home-based teacher know when an intermittent student is absent and requires services? Classroom teacher, special education case manager, Crossroads, or school liaison will contact the service provider. Student not available or refuses to participate. Make an attempt, then note in the journal. This goes back to being non-compliant. Contact Nicole. Hospital Homebound Review Committee. Christy Lee Arrington, Program Specialist. Dana Rollins, Coordinator of Related Services. Monica Smith, Coordinator of Student Services. Nicole Jordan, Hospital Homebound Secretary. So if you have any questions for Hospital Homebound, you contact Nicole Jordan and her information is on the screen. And if it is for home base, you call Christy Lee Arrington and her contact information is on the screen. Thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, please contact Nicole Jordan.